Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany and in today's video I'm here to talk to you about our crazy morning routine, our busy morning routine, and all of the tips that I have for you to make your school mornings run a lot smoother, and how I get my family of 7 out the door, all of us, by 6:30 a.m. I'm so glad you guys are here. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, if you are new to my channel, I am an elementary school counselor and my husband is a special educator and he works in middle school. And so we both work in schools and we have 5 kids ranging in age from 17, almost 18, and a senior in high school down to 9 and a 3rd grader. So our home is busy. There's always stuff going on. There's always a lot to do in the morning, a lot of people to get ready. And on top of all of that, just to compound everything we have going on, we have a lot of ADHD in our home and some pretty high anxiety as well. And so trying to find ways to manage our expectation of ourselves and our kids, as well as not, set off a bad morning that then triggers into a, bad day. This is a very fine line that we walk every single day. We also have very stressful but fulfilling jobs, and that can really lead to burnout. It can lead to stressful evenings and really stressful mornings, especially being out of here so early. And that just means that we have to be very mindful about the routines that we put in place. That leads me into today's video sponsor. I want to go ahead and say a giant thank you to DREAMEGG for working with me in today's video. DREAMEGG's Sunrise One sound machine is a revolutionary sound machine that helps not only with waking up in the morning, but also with falling asleep at night. Like I mentioned, we have a lot of ADHD in our home and some pretty high anxiety, and that can lead to some restless evenings where it's hard to calm our minds, calm our bodies, and fall into a deep and relaxing, rejuvenating sleep. And the Sunrise One sound machine has been so helpful for me when it comes to going to sleep at night in a very relaxed mindset. The Sunrise One features gentle ambient lighting that softly illuminates the night, and it also pairs with the most beautiful sounds. Then in the morning, it gently illuminates the room with a gorgeous sun color, this warm color, and plays the most beautiful sound. There's multiple different sounds that you can choose from. For Danny and I, we sat and went through each sound, and it was either between the birds chirping or this really pretty meditation sound, which is the one we went with. I will say at the beginning, when I first started using it, it's been a little over a week now. When I first started using it, I would wake to the sound first. But after about 3 days, I would wake to the color of the sun rising before the alarm would go off. I have it set to lighten up the room about 5 minutes before the alarm goes off, and that is just so nice to just wake up gently to no sound of an alarm, and then when there is a sound, that's my cue that it's time to get up and get out of the bed. We have very busy nights here as well, between sports and homework and all of the other things, so using the Sunrise One sound machine to help us transition from our nighttime routine into sleeping has been really great too. I can put on a really beautiful light ambient onto the machine and play some really nice sounds. Danny and I love the thunderstorm, and it just helps us ease into sleep, which is really, really nice. The Sunrise One is more than just an alarm clock. It's a holistic tool to enhance mental wellness. By fostering a calming wake-up experience and aiding in relaxation at night, it supports overall mental health and well-being, and I can feel refreshed and empowered to go about my day when I wake up nice and relaxed, and it then leads to me waking up my kids nice and relaxed. If you are in need of some kind of solution to help you fall asleep quicker, sleep better and wake up more relaxed in the morning, then definitely check out the DREAMEGG Sunrise One sound machine. I'll have it linked for you down below. It is an absolute must in my home now, and the great thing is it's small enough to travel with, so it will be going with me every time we travel. So thank you again, DREAMEGG, for sponsoring today's video, and let's talk about how, after we're awake, we get the day going. So before we can talk about the things that we have to do during the morning routine to get us going, let's talk about the things we have to do the night before. Planning the night before is like the number one way to have a stress-free morning. It takes a lot of time to find a good nighttime routine, and I will post a future video about what our nighttime routine is, but there are some non-negotiables that we have to do the night before in order to be able to even get out of the house on time. That includes picking out our clothes, making sure our sports gear are ready, making sure that we have snacks and lunches prepared, and also making sure that backpacks and bags are ready to go. I mean, those seem pretty self-explanatory. However, it can be really hard, especially when you're neurodivergent, to be able to follow a routine. If there are a lot of jump cuts in this video, it is because I am struggling with a head cold. You'll notice my eye is all red and funky and my nose is stuffy and I am coughing constantly. So I apologize for that, but this is just what happens when it's back to school. But as I mentioned, finding that nighttime routine that works well for everybody and then finding a way to reinforce it is ideal. Creating the plan is one thing, but reinforcing it is another. I have an entire video on our planners, how I plan, how I organize, how I keep track of everything. But then I will do a future video about how I create routines in my house and how I actually keep those routines for a family of 7. After we have gone through our nighttime routine of preparing everything for the next day, the kitchen is cleaned up, you know, we've had a chance to connect as a family either over a meal or, you know, just sitting together and chatting for a little while. We try to have even just the briefest of moments all together. We're able to then go to bed. And one of the other things that's really, really important is sticking to bedtimes. That's part of that routine, making sure that you have a time, like a non-negotiable time that you and your family are going to be in bed. Obviously that fluctuates for my family based on your age and, you know, what you have going on the next day, but making sure that you have like this ultimate time saying, I will not stay up past this time and I will go to bed. Now, when we go to bed, my next big thing is to set 2 alarms, you guys. Always have your first alarm, which is the one that you want to wake up to, and a second alarm, which is your absolute have to get out of bed. For Danny and I, that is the sun rising on our DREAMEGG. It wakes us up, and then when we hear the meditation sound start, that's our cue. It's time to get out of the bed. It's really nice. And in fact, we've actually been letting it play as we make our coffee. But for my kids, they do not have a DREAMEGG yet. And for them, we wake them up. And we wake them up in stages, depends on who needs to be up at what time. My older kids, my high schoolers, they wake themselves up. But my 2 middle schoolers and my 1 elementary schooler, we do wake them up. And not because they can't do it themselves, but because we like to kind of control how they wake up. And it's really nice to go in and just wake them up very gently. So having 2 alarms for them. One is us when we wake them up, and then the second alarm is the actual alarm. That means, okay, now that you're awake, you've had some time to lay in your bed and, you know, stretch and open your eyes and rub the crusties out. Now it's time to physically get up. So before the kids are woken up, after Danny and I have gotten up, the first thing we always do once we're out of the bed is one of us takes the dog out, the other person gets the coffee going. So whoever's up out of the bed first takes the dog outside, takes her to the bathroom. It's usually still pitch black outside. So I am very mindful about how many lights I'm turning on around my house as to not shine into anybody's windows. But luckily we live kind of back here in the trees, and so I can let Charlie out and or Danny lets Charlie out. And while that's going on, the other person is getting our coffee going. And we use travel mugs because we take off in the morning and very rarely are we able to finish a hot cup of coffee before we leave. And so making sure we put them in the travel mug before we go is ideal. So Danny drinks the Pete's Major Dickinson dark coffee. I use the Intenso Nespresso pod. And we just make our coffee. We do add some collagen peptides into our coffee every single morning. This is really important. It does help with our joint health. We've been doing a ton of working out, so trying to make sure that we're using that. Plus, it helps with your skin. I get a lot of compliments on my skin. That is a huge priority for me, is making sure every morning I'm taking 1 scoop of the collagen peptide powder. We also will put a fiber substitute into our coffee. That just helps keep everything going smoothly as it should. And you can never get enough fiber. I know I don't get enough fiber in my diet, so I supplement by using just a water-soluble fiber supplement. Once coffee is made, one of us is hopping into the shower usually. If it's me, if it's a wash day, a hair wash day, I will hop into the shower first since it usually takes me the longest. Try to be in the shower no later than about 5:10. So my alarm, I'm usually awake around 4:45, 4:50. I'm out of the bed by 5, in the shower no later than 5:10, usually before that on hair wash days, because it takes a long time to blow dry the hair. I only wash my hair a couple times a week. So on non-wash days, I'll shower the night before. So it's one less thing that I have to worry about, and just wash my face in the morning. Whoever, was in the shower the first time will start to get ready while the second person takes a shower. That seems to work really well for us. We have our 3 little boys shower the night before, so they don't have to worry about that in the morning, and they can just sleep in a little bit, and then it's just my teenagers showering in the morning as well. After the shower, it's time for hair and makeup. So for me, it takes me roughly about, I would say 40 minutes or so to do my hair and makeup. If it's a non-wash day, I would say roughly about 55 minutes or so if it's a wash day, and that's after the shower has taken place. And that also includes getting dressed. So Danny will usually be done first, obviously, since he just has to do his hair and put on his clothes. And while I'm finishing getting ready, he'll head upstairs, he'll wake up the kids, give them their little alarm, and then they'll head downstairs. Because they follow the nighttime routine the night before, all they're doing in the morning is getting themselves dressed, down to their shoes. They're getting their hair done, or doing their hair themselves, which they typically do. And then it's time for them to do their AM chores. So this doesn't always happen, but there are things on the chore list that we try really hard to have the kids do in the morning, such as emptying the dishwasher. That can be done in 5 minutes, and then it just makes it so much easier to just load up the dishwasher as we're going throughout the day. Also, somebody has to feed Charlie, so that's a non-negotiable in the morning. The other thing is picking out their clothes or preparing their like snacks or lunches. If it's anything that didn't get done the night before, then they'll do that morning as well. So any kind of chore that they can get done in the morning, they will, including brushing their teeth, taking their medicine, that type of thing. And then once they're done with those things, they can have some quiet time. They can play on their iPad. They can watch a little TV until it's time to go. Usually by that point, I am finishing up getting ready. I've gotten dressed, time to finish it off with some jewelry, some perfume, my shoes, and then the last thing I do is prepare my lunch. So anything, I just grab it from the fridge, put it in the lunch box. Usually it just means I'm putting the things into the bag because everything's been done the night before, and then putting my computer into my work bag since I charged it overnight, and figuring out whether or not I need to bring my camera. I do a lot of filming at work as well. We put out a lot of videos, the other counselor and I, so just making sure I have that. And then the last thing I always do before I take off for the day is I look at our calendar. What do we have going on? Does everybody know where they're going? Who needs to be picked up, who needs to go where, making sure that we have, that whole plan figured out before we leave is really, really important. I have been using the Skylight calendar. I've talked about that a lot on my channel. It is a digital calendar. It does have an app that I can use from my phone, and I do, but I just like to look at it before I leave and make sure that everybody's on the same page, make sure we've got everybody's gear that we need, and make any last minute changes that we might need to make before we head out for the day. At that point, it's time to head to the car. We grab the dog because she goes away for the day as well, and we head on out. And it's, like I said, bright and early, 6:30. I should say bright and early, even though it's not typically bright. We start the school year off with sun in the morning, and then usually about this time, it's getting darker and darker. And then come the winter, it is pitch black when we leave the house in the morning. And that is just such a bummer, but we got to get through it. And I'm extra thankful to have that DREAMEGG now to help brighten up the room as we wake up, because it is so hard to crack open your eyeballs when it is pitch black in your room and you're trying to find the motivation to get up. Depending on where I'm at in the morning, if I do wake up a little early, which sometimes happens, sometimes I wake up between like 4:15 and 4:20 just on my own. I will not try to go back to sleep that close to wake up time. I'll just be groggy if I do. So at that point, I'll get up and I'll try to do a little exercise, usually just get on the bike and do a little bike exercise or go for a walk around my cul-de-sac. But I try really hard not to force myself back into sleep at that point, because I will not be able to wake up in a good mood. If I do, I will be very groggy and very grumpy. And that, my friends, is our morning routine. I know it probably sounds very simple and you're probably thinking, wow, that's it. But yes, that is it. We try really hard to just stick to the routine, do as much as we can the night before so we can have a productive and successful and smooth morning as we transition into our day. Doesn't always work that way. Things happen, stuff gets forgotten the night before, the mornings can be tough. Some days are tougher than others. Mondays are easy. Tuesdays are hard. And, we find our flow, but we just make sure we give each other grace. And I try really hard to just give my kids, time in the morning to wake up and be ready to go. So thank you guys so much for joining me in today's video. If you found any of this helpful, I would love to hear it down below. If there's anything that you do in your morning routine that you think would help in my family, I'd love to hear it. And make sure you're subscribed if you aren't. I will see you in the next one. Take care, my friends.
There's a new day that will come again tomorrow.